Shalom, giving honor and praise unto Yah, the creator and the maker of heaven and earth. Let's go, brothers and sisters, into Numbers. We are in the book of Numbers, chapter 16, verse 29. That way we can gain some understanding of what we're talking about. Numbers 16:29 says, if these men die the common death of all men, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then Yah hath not sent me. But if Yah make a new thing, and the earth open her mouth, and swallow them up, and all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then ye shall understand that these men have provoked Yah. And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed them up, and their houses, and all the men that appertained unto Korah, and all their goods. So one of the things to let it be noted and pointed out, brothers and sisters, is that inside the Hebrew culture, we see something that is the earth is represented inside of a feminine principle. You understand? So let that be noted and understood. The earth is represented inside the feminine principle. Now, getting back into this book here, The Gods and Symbols of Ancient Egypt, about the situation with Jeb or Jeb, it says Jeb was the personification of the earth. In one pyramid text, it states that the deceased entered into Geb. As god of the earth, he bore the plants which grew on his back. Water too sprang forth from him. According to an ancient myth, Geb together with the sky Nut produced the sun, since he became the father of the gods. So one of the things to be pointed out is that Geb, as stated from the other part, was the husband of Nut. So Nut has a husband inside of Egyptian mythology or inside of Egyptian culture and teachings that Jeb is the husband of Nut, but Jeb is the personification of the earth. But let's see, brothers and sisters, that the earth, brothers and sisters, is represented inside of a feminine principle. So thus, to the Hebrew mind, that would mean then that Jeb is a male entity representing a feminine thing that has a wife. Nut is a feminine entity representing a feminine thing inside of Egyptian culture, but has a husband who happens to be representing that which is feminine. Brothers and sisters, we need less of that kind of down low homosexual, that metrosexual, that kind of free sexual type of spirit. That's not good. Getting back into the book of Numbers, chapter 16, we are in verse 31. It says, and it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking these words, that the ground clave asunder that was under them. Now in verse 31, in the book of Numbers, chapter 16, we are in verse 31. We're going to go into the Hebrew, so that way we can gain some understanding concerning this kind of matter. And it says the following in verse 16, right? It says, I'm sorry, chapter 16, verse 31. All right? It says the following in the Hebrew. Why he, kekaloto, ladabel et kal hadbarim ha'ele, wati bakwa ha'adama ashol taktehem. Now, one of the things to sit there and point out, brothers and sisters, it distinctly says in the Hebrew that the earth that was under them clave asunder, right? Ha'adama ashol taktehem. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out in the Hebrew, it says this word right here. Ha'adama ashel taktehem. Right? Watif tak ha'aretz et piha. It says what? Watif tak ha'aretz et piha. Now, the Hebrew word tiftak means she will open. But when you have the while consecutive, it changes the past and the future and the past in biblical Hebrew. Understand? So the Hebrew word for mouth is pe. And pi means my mouth. And piu means his mouth. And piha means her mouth. So when it says watif tak ha'aretz piha, it says, and the earth opened her mouth. It let it be noted and understood that the Hebrews understood the earth as a feminine entity. And that the earth, like they say, Mother Earth and so forth and so on. So let that be noted and understood. The earth is not, I repeat, the earth is not a masculine entity. And let's understand it even if you're not into or even care, no offense intended, about Hebrew. You put your seed inside of the woman, and the seed nurtures inside of it. And you deal with camping like some children do. They go far away on a trip, and they go and they plant things and everything like that. When you plant the seed, you put the seed inside of the earth. You don't put the seed inside of any male entity. Men don't take seed. Men give seed to the feminine entity. You understand? So let that be noted and understood. Be it a human entity, be it a physical entity like the earth, which is alive. You understand what I mean? So let that be noted and understood. You understand? So one of the other things, brothers and sisters, to point out, if we will, is, if we will, let's go into the book of Genesis chapter 1, verse 24. So that way we can gain some understanding concerning this kind of matter. Genesis chapter 1, verse 24, and it says in the English, God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures, each according to its kind, animal and creeping thing, and beasts of the land, each according to its kind. And it was so. Now, in the Hebrew of the same verse, it says this. Wayomer Elohim, Totse ha'aretz nefesh, kaya, lamina, behema, waremes, wakaito, eretz lamino, why he came. Now, one of the things I have wanted to point out concerning that particular matter, brothers and sisters, is that it distinctly shows that when the Father was speaking to the earth, he spoke to the earth in a feminine principle. You understand? And let's look at it in this point in context right here, right? Wayomer Elohim Totze, right here. The Hebrew word Totze, the Tau, Wal, Zade, and the Aleph. The Tau represented what? The feminine principle. Because Hey and Tau in Hebrew are feminine letters. All right? So Yotze would have been the masculine. But it says Totze Ha'aretz Nefesh. So that just goes to show you that that is speaking in the feminine context. That's why language also shows you the mind of the people. Even in the Willie Lynch letter, it speaks about how language is a peculiar institution. The more you know about the language, the more you know about the mindset of the people. Very important. You see, so now if Jeeb is representing a masculine that has a wife, but Jeeb is masculine, that is, and he is representing a feminine entity and he has a wife, we need less of that kind of spirit. You understand? Let's go into the book of Leviticus chapter 18 verse 22. So that way we can gain some kind of understanding. Leviticus 18 verse 22. All right, and it reads as follows. You shall not lie with a male as one lies with a woman. It is an abomination. Now, in the Hebrew, we read the following. It says, Wa'et zakar lo tishkab mishkabe isha to ebahi. Now, one of the things to let it be noted and understood, it says what? Wa'et zakar, which means and with a male. Lo tishkab, from the Hebrew word shakab, which means to lie down. Now, yes, you see the towel, as we will look and see right here, which, if we were following from before, it would have represented the feminine with the towel. But let's understand something, that you have it to where it would say Eshkab, I will lie down. Tishkab, you will lie down. Also means she will lie down. So that means you have to understand where the pronouns are fitting into place at. You understand? It is saying what? And with a male, you should not lie as with a woman. So Mishkabe in Hebrew means the layings of, from the Hebrew word shakab. You understand? So with that being stated and noted and understood, brothers and sisters, very important and very significant to be noted and understood. Whatever layings is that a man and a woman do, a male and a male is not supposed to be doing the same thing. So is it the same with a woman and a woman? A woman is not also, according to the Hebrew scriptures, be having what they would like to call sex between themselves. You understand? And to show you how that kind of thing leads people to be cut off is that the homosexual spirit will sit there and lead to further and further genocide. You understand? It is like basically you're volunteering yourself to be and having your people gentrified. You understand? It's not a good thing. So when you have a culture that is emphatically saying that Jeeb representing the earth, and the earth is always going to be feminine, because let it be noted and understood, Metuneta, nor Hebrew, is older than the earth. The Egyptians were on earth and so were the Hebrews. You understand? So before the Egyptians existed and before the Hebrews existed, yes, there was a time when there was no Egyptians or Hebrews on the planet. You put they always dealt, for instance, with the Sumerian civilization. They sat there and dug into the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, and so that way they can have irrigation. So that way they can plant new things because they knew they had to live off of the earth because it's nurtured from the earth. There's no, deeper explanation that we can, get into. Another thing to let it be noted and understood, if we go to the book of Genesis, brothers and sisters, Genesis, we are in Genesis chapter 37, verse 9. That way we can gain some kind of understanding concerning this type of matter. Genesis chapter 37, verse 9. Understand, and it reads as follows. We are in the book of Genesis 37, verse 9. And it says, "And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him," pay attention now, "What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth?" What is he saying? He said what? Joseph saying he had a dream of the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing down unto him. You understand? The moon even tells you in science that the moon reflects her light from the sun. So what Joseph is saying, and Jacob understood what he was saying about his dream, shall I, your father, the male representative, your mother, the female representative, and the stars representing your 11 brothers, shall we come and bow down to you? If the moon reflects her light from the sun, how then do you have it in any kind of science, perhaps where the feminine can represent the man and the man can represent the feminine? No, there is an order to certain things. You understand what I'm saying? And this order was set up before the Egyptians or the Hebrews existed. But the language of the people shows you exactly the mindset of the people. See what it is, you have brothers and sisters, no offense intended, who try to pimp Egypt. And then not realizing perhaps that maybe certain things about Egypt just wasn't up to par. They're going to sit there and then try to bash on, or they say bang on the Hebrews, or so to speak. But the Hebrews ain't your problem. The problem is the European man, the white man. But here you are trying to sit there and debate with other Israelites, or with your brothers and sisters who are Israelites. So therefore, your premise goes back into this kind of situation that we have to sit there and deal with. You are representing indirectly the European man or the European Jew. You see, I have a book here entitled "Chosen People from the Caucasus" by Michael Bradley. I want to read part of the insert of it, and it says the following, right? "Chosen people from the Caucasus" focuses on two separate groups of people who emerged from the Caucasus Mountains in the Middle East, those people who comprise the vast majority of modern Jewry who converted to Judaism about 740 AD and were later pushed into Central and Eastern Europe by Mongol invasions, and the biblical Hebrews, who emerged 2,700 years earlier. Both peoples, ironically, are considered to be quote-unquote Jews, although they have no direct historical or genetic connection to each other. Are we serious? This historian right here is basically letting it be known that the biblical Hebrews and the people who you think are the Jews of today, the European Jews, are not the same people. So my Kemetic friends or my Kemetic brothers or sisters who are sitting up there using the Jewish man as a reference against the black Hebrews or against the children of Israel, you need to stop that. You understand? You need to sit there and realize that that European man is not the real Jew. Despite what the so-called scholar Chancellor Williams said in his book, Destruction of Black Civilization, page 337. Talking about the Jews and the Hebrews were white. No, they weren't. The children of Israel, the Hebrews, the children of Israel were people of color. And if you care to go there, you can go and reference into a book entitled 100 Amazing Facts by J.A. Rogers, in which he gets into that. So, with that, brothers and sisters, that concludes that particular subject. Didn't want to get sidetracked and so forth and so on, but nah. The culture of Israel and the culture of the Egyptians are two different things. All right, so let that be understood. Shalom.